Hello guys, this is a new tutorial on basic of programming, and in this tutorial we are going to look at basic programming language. This is a programming language that programmers or teachers that take ICT use to teach students on how to program. It will expose the students to rudiments of programming and how programming language works. The reason for doing this tutorial is that when I check syllabus of the SS students, SS1 to SS3 students and GSS2 and GS3 students, there is basic programming language there. So this tutorial is going to be useful to the teachers that want to take the students and the students that want to learn at their own pace. So basic programming has been for a while. Is a programming language that has been how will I put it? That's been for a long while. Has been in existence for a while. So it's not something that is new. And the reason why basic programming is used to teach beginners, students or someone that wants to learn programming language, is that it is easier. And the installation process is very simple. It doesn't take large memory space and so this tutorial is going to be split into two parts. The first part, I'm going to walk you through everything you needed to know about basic programming. As a teacher, you can't just teach without giving you notes. So I have prepared a Microsoft Word note on everything that's we are going to learn on basic programming. So the first part of this programming language, of this basic programming, I'm going to walk through the notes, things that you should know, and with practical, as I'm explaining it, I'll practicalize it so that by the time you sit on your own, you can program, you can do some things on your own without my assistance. So the second part of this tutorial, that is when you are going to dive in deep into how to code in programming language. I'm going to solve some questions, mathematical questions, logical questions, then we are done with basic programming. Please, I will leave a description under this video where you can download the basic I'm going to use here. I'm going to use Liberty Basic. There are different versions of basic we can use, but I'm going to use Liberty Basic here. I will show you how to do it. So you go to your Google Chrome. When you go to your Google Chrome, just type download Liberty Basic. When you type this in your Google Chrome, it will bring out this. So when you bring out this Liberty, click on the first one, this one, you click on it. You can see the official Liberty Basic website. When you click on it, it will take you to this particular tab. So when you take it there, then you click on download. I have downloaded mine. It's in my download history, so I'll go there. So I'm going to install it now. So I will click on it. I want to install it to show you how it is installed, but you can't do yours on your own without my assistant. The installation is very, very simple. It doesn't take time. It's very easy. So you can see it. It's a 5 megabytes file, so it doesn't take much memory, and it's very, you can see it's installed, so it doesn't take lots of time and things. So this is what you will see at the first page when you want it. So these are just comments on everything about basic. I can highlight it, press Ctrl A on your system, then you delete everything you don't need it. Now this is the basic programming environment. You can save your basic programming, your code. You can save it. This is run. It's very important. There's a shortcut to it. Shift F5 to run your code. This is to open an existing file in which you've run. You've solved some problem, or you've written some code before. Now you want to open it. You can open it here, and so on and so forth. There's not much about this, but what you have to know is this one button and this new button. So this is the Liberty Basic environment. So I'm going to go to the notes now and explain each of the concepts. We have basic programming language for beginners about this. Basic stands for beginners all-purpose symbolic instruction code. I'm going to attach this note to the description so you can download the notes and read and follow along with me. So it was developed by John Kemeny and Thomas Kors to teach students at Dartmouth College. Learning can be used in most fields, so it can be used in different fields: business, teaching, scientific, something, the complex part. So it's very easy language to learn. It is not, and that's why I call it basic, beginners, all-purpose symbolic instruction code. And we have versions of basic. So there is Turbo Basic, there is True Basic, Peak Basic. I'm using Liberty Basic. There's Q Basic also, but it's the same pattern that all of them you're going to code in. Except Visual Net Basic and Visual Basic, they have something like GUI that it is more of like graphical user interface, where you click on something and an event will fire or something will show. But so for our own convenience, I would advise you to download the Liberty Basic. It's still the same thing, so we're going to walk through it. So advantages of Basic. Let's look at the advantage. It is well suited for use in interactive environment. You can see I can easily come here and just type something. I can type, let's say, print Sabiton. Let me just print my name. I'm going to explain what this are, so but don't panic. So this is it. I'm going to want it. So when I want it, you see my name, Sabiton. Very easy to run. Now you have another one. And this side, what Basic is small, has a small command set which is easy to memorize. It means the documentation or everything about Basic is very easy. It's not much, it's not that large for you to start learning. Like we check some docs like Python or JavaScript, you continue learning. There are a lot of deep things there. But in Basic, the docs are clear and it's not much. It's very easy to understand. The third one is that it gives a beginner programmer an idea on how programming work. So with this, when you learn basic programming, you now understand how. So this is how this programming language works. So with the idea, the knowledge you have in basic programming, you can take any programming language and start coding by reading the docs or just watching some video tutorial, maybe 10-minute video tutorial to give you an introduction on that particular programming language. Since you have the experience and deep knowledge of basic programming, then other programming language will be very easy for you to program in. Then next one said a lot of basic program can be run on various of different computers with or no changes. So it's still the same thing. You can run this on any computer, either your iOS or your Windows machine. Now it is widely available on both small and large computers, as I said that earlier. So rules of Basic. So every programming language has their own rules, and Basic is not exempted from these rules. The first one, they said each line of code or statement must appear on a separate line. What did they mean here? Let me show you something. Let's assume now I want to print Sabi. Then let's say I want to print another thing. Let's say print Sabi. Print Sabi. So I want to run this. Let's see what will happen. Said no problem. Let's run it. So you can see it's pointing that this particular page, there's an error here. It means you cannot run the same command on the same line. You have to bring this down. When I bring it down, when I run this now, it will surely run. You can see that is what that particular statement means. And number one, the basic keywords must follow each statement in basic programming. So they are what they call keywords in basic programming. And keywords are those words that have a special meaning to basic programming. I'm still going to go to keywords. So there are words that have special meaning. Like just take for example your dog. And you tell your dog to, unless it's a trained dog, when you buy a dog, you tell the dog, come, dog, have you eaten? It doesn't understand those words. Those words are not words that have special meaning to the dog. But when you bark, the dogs know that barking you back has a special meaning to it. So it will respond. So that is what keywords is talking about. Then let's now move on. We have basic statement is always accompanied by a line number or statement number, which should be in ascending order. What are they saying here? Like the way I write this basic programming, it is not advisable to write it because some people may be using Q Basic. I'm using Liberty Basic. I'm going to write a program whereby you'll be able to compile and run into both Liberty Basic and Q Basic. The reason for line number in Basic is for branching, to make condition that if this condition is true, then go to this line. So if you write a programming, it's not that if you write basic programming, you write statements in basic programming, and you run it without a line number, it's going to run. It's going to run. But that line number is very important when you are dealing with like complex programs. When you are going to make a condition on a particular thing, and you are going to refer to a particular line if a condition is true or not. So my advice for you is that always start your programming language in a line number. And how do we do that? So I can say this, the first one is 5. So and line number must be in ascending order. I can say the second one is 7. So this is how it will be in basic programming. So each statement must be on a line number. There must be a line number attached to it. So that is it. So this is how it's based. So when I run this now, it will still run. It will surely run. So you can see it runs successfully. So this means this one is the what, line number 5. I can change this one to what, to 10, no problem. It will still run. It does not mean it must be in 5, 7 or 5, 10, 15, 20. No, it can be 5, 7, 9, anyhow. But make sure it's in ascending order. That is that for that. Then next one we have what? Add comment to your code to explain the purpose and functionality of various sections. So what this thing is talking about is that when you're writing basic programming, and even if not about basic programming, any programming language you are dealing with, you have to write a comment. A comment in the sense that you tell a programmer or a newbie, someone that is not used to your codes, if you write several codes, maybe millions lines of codes or thousands lines of code, and there is a mistake, we call it bug in programming language or in program or in computer science, and you have made a comment on each of it, so the person that is reading your code will be able to follow along to read what your code is all about. But not, you cannot put comments on something that is like security wise, like maybe you are designing a program to enter username and password, you have to enter my password or something like this. You can't put that one, is sensitive information. So like for example now, this one now, I can make a comment here. So line number, I can say, so comment in basic is use when. In basic, when I can say program to print two statements. So I'm going to do this. So this when is telling that this program I wrote at the bottom, 5 print start Zabeto and Besabe, is to print two statements. So it's telling me everything about that particular program. So this is comment. So this will not, when you want this, you can see that program to print two statements does not run. It will be ignored by the interpreter, which is the basic programming shell. It's going to be ignored by it, then this will print. So it's just telling a newbie or someone that does not understand anything about programming language what your program or your statement does, or what your code does. So let's move on. So we have declared variables. Before using them, we are still going to discuss what variable is. So let me don't go far on this. I'm going to explain everything. Although basic is not sensitive to indentation, it's a good practice to use indentation to make your code more readable. So in basic programming, you can make your code more readable. So like for example now, if for example I want to, like, maybe this thing, it looks like this, it does not mean that it will not run. It will run. You can see it runs successfully. But when you write something like this, you can see that it looks fused together. It looks closed. It's not readable. So I can just put space to it. I can even add more space to make it more readable. That's the answer of what it ignores the space. But in some other programming language like Python, something like this is what it will give you. It will give you error a lot. So in basic, it ignores it. Basic consists of statements. Each statement should be written on a separate line, should end with a line terminator, which is often colon or a new line. So I discussed it earlier that a statement you make, print something, must be on different line. Now move to basic data type. So what are data types? Data types are statements, are those words, number, sign you work with in a programming environment. It can be numbers, it can be letters, it can be special sign. So basic also has its own. So we have numeric constant and we have the string constant. So numeric constant is just old numbers. It's talking about when a program, because when you are going to program in any programming language, it may not be basic, it may be JavaScript, it may be Java, it may be C programming. You are going to be dealing with numbers. You are going to manipulate things. You are going to calculate something. So either you deal with numbers or you deal with test. And most of like machine learning and all those things, you deal with tests, like all those things. So, but other times you have to include numbers in your programming, programming language. So the numeric constants, we have the integer. So integer in your secondary school or your primary school, there are those numbers that does not have decimal point. That is just it. Number that does not, a whole number that does not have decimal point. Those are integers. They can be negative, they can be positive. Now we have fixed points. Fixed points, they are positive or negative real number that contain decimal points. So fixed points, they are just like real numbers. They can be decimal points, they can be whole number. Do you get me now? So it can be minus 2.4, 343, any number except an imaginary numbers. So the opposite of real number is imaginary number. Imaginary numbers are square root of a negative number. If I type square root of minus 2, my calculator will give me an error. So it's an imaginary, I can't get the value. That's what it means. So we have floating numbers. Floating number is just talking about what? Decimal number represented in what? In a base number. But in some other programming language, it's a decimal point number. But in this, sometimes you want to like approximate. For example, if you are your answer is 2 million, you don't expect me to write the whole 2 million, 2000. It looks hard. So I can represent that with something like this. So I can type, let's assume I want to type 2 million now. I can just write this. See what I'm saying? So let me leave this. So I may just put this 15 point and say 2 exponential. This exponential, let me say 6. So when I print, let me see what it will give me. Oh, it's giving me an error here. Something is wrong. Okay, probably let me make it in a variable. Sorry for this. Probably something is wrong somewhere. Because one thing about basic is you can see now. So there's a space I leave in between. That was why it was giving me. You can see that this is 1, 2, 3. This is 2 million. It means 2 times 10 raised to the power 6. So this is exponent. Instead of me writing all these numbers, I can use this. I can represent it with this. So that is what do you call it? What do I call it? What floating number is? Floating point number is. So it can be minus. When you are talking about minus, talking about what negative number is 0.000 something. So it can be of any value. So that is fixed. Hexadecimal. Like hexadecimal is just talking of base number, base 16. Yeah, base 16. Like base of 7, there is a decimal of 17, all this kind of thing. So this hexadecimal is not that used in basic programming. But when you get to real programming, like hexadecimal is more of like a machine code, because all our codes, our tests, anything we do on programming language is going to be interpreted to the computer in zeros and one, in binary. So hexadecimal is just talking of number that is in base 16. When I say decimal, number in base 10. When I say binary, number in base 2. So those are what hexadecimal is. Then we have octa, number in base 8. I think you taught this in your JSS1, base, JS2, base 5, base 2, even in primary school. So there's nothing new yet. Now we have another one we call what? String constants. So string constants, they are, when you say string is talking about words, only words. So my name is a string, ABC is a string, but in basic or in any programming language, your string, your words has to be in a quote. It can be double quote or single quote. Let me show you what I mean. So when I come to the basic programming language, basic, so when I type this, let's assume I type print Sabi. I did not put it in quotes. Let's see what the interpreter will say. You can see it does not print. It's giving me 0, but this is not what I need. So it means this thing is not what is not proper. So it has to be in quotes. Any words you type in must be in quotes, because it's a string. So if I put this thing in a string, let me just type Sabi1 to differentiate it from the rest. Sabi1. Let me do it like this. Then let me run this. You can say Sabi1 is what is printed on my screen. So that is that about string constant. It can be if you put on, like if I want to write 12,000, I can't just 12,000. I want to put hash. That hash is like a character. So I can't just type something like this. Sorry, I can't type something like this. Look how I'm saying. I can't type something. If I want to write 20,000 naira, So I can say print, let's say 20,000 naira. Let me just 20,000. Let me say $20,000. Okay, this is naira. 20,000, and I put comma. Let's see what will happen here. So when I run this, you say okay, it's telling me okay, let's put. You can see it's giving me one time error, something like that. It's giving me an error. There's an error that displays there. Let me run it again so that you can see the error. Let me run this again. So one time invalid file and 20,000 hash, something like that. But if I want to print it, I can just what, enclose it in a what, in a quote. So now enclose in a quote, you must end it with a what. It can be double quote, can be single quote, no problem. You can see it runs what successfully. So that is talking about, that is what all about string. So let's now move to basic variable. Now we come to variable. So when we say variable is talking about a placeholder where you keep something. It can be it's just like somewhere, a place where you keep either a number. I told you that times in basic it's either a string or a numbers. A number can be different from, can be string, it can be integer, it can be float, it can be fixed. So these numbers and these numbers and these letters, you can't just continue writing them, print something. You have to store them in a particular place so that when you are using it again, you'll not be repeating yourself. What did I mean by this? So let me show you something. Now let me show you something. Let's assume now, let me cancel all this. Let's assume I want to add 5 plus any numbers. So I can say, let me just 5. I said let's say number equals to, let's say 5. This number, it is the one holding what, holding 5. Number is the variable, 5 is the what, is the value. And just any way that you see number now, it means it is 5 that is there. So this one here, you declare a variable. Variable num is equals to 5. Let me now show you how this thing is very important. Let's assume now, and I'll say, okay, I want to say number, I want to time this number times, let's say times 8, 15, 14, number times 7, 15, number times 9. So let's just print all this. Sorry, should have printed this. Print, let's print it one after the other. Print. So let me show you something. So when I want this, let's see, you can see 5 times 8 is 14, 5 times 7 is 35, 5 times 9 is 45. Let's not assume when I said, okay, I don't want my number, I don't want you to use 6 times 8 again. I want you to use 6. I don't want to use 5 times 8. I want you to use 6 times 8, 6 times 7, 6 times 9. It will be very monotonous. It will be stressing for you to start typing 6. Imagine this line of code is like 200 lines. So will you continue changing 6? That will give you a hell of a task. So it means you have to. This is what I'll just come here. I'll just change it to what? So 6. So when I change it to 6, now you can see that the effect as reflected in what, in line 10, line 14, and line 15. Would that mean going through and changing all these numbers? So variable is a placeholder where you keep a value. So let's now look at types of variable. There are 2 types of variables in BASIC. We have numeric variables and string variables. Since in programming language, you will be dealing with numbers and letters. So there must be a variable that will keep letters, and there must be a variable that will keep numbers. In Python, it is the variable that will keep number and variable that will keep letter, they are declared in the same way. In C, it is a little bit different. Character is even from text and all these things. But in BASIC also, it's different. You cannot declare the same variable used for number and the same variable used for string. You will get it wrong. So let's look at this together. Let me tell you something. Let me show you something here. Let's assume now I want to print my name. I want to save my name in a variable. Okay, name is equals to Sabi. Instead of typing print Sabi, I'll just be printing that name. and I want to print my age. That's not a name, is a string, is a word, is a string variable. So my age is a number. So that number, it is what is the basic type, the data type is what it is numeric. It's a numeric variables. So let me show you something here. Let me let me say 5. Let me say name. It can be small letter. Your name can be, the variable can be small letter and capital letter, no problem. Let me say I told that it must be a string. It's a string. It's a word, so you must put it in a quote. Name Sabi. Okay. 10. Let's say age equals to. I'll show you something. Just wait. Let's say my age is 21 years. Now let me say 15. I say print. I have to print my name. So anything you declare here must be the same thing you declare here. Then I say 20 or 30. Anything is a line number. Print. This can be small letter also, no problem. Print age. Let's see what will happen here. Let's run this. You can see that something is happening here. It said name is stop pointing. One thing about basic is that the more is that it will tell you that there's a particular place that your problem is wrong, something is wrong there, but it will not show you the error. That why is this thing? Why am I pointing to this particular place that there is error? What is the error there? So it means once you are good in basic, believe me, other programming language will be easier for you. Like Python will be very simple for you. So in this thing now, it means I cannot use the same variable I use for number to declare my string. So what you have to do in Python is that you include what they call $sign. So anytime you are declaring a variable, you are declaring a variable that will hold a string or a word, that variable must have a dollar. Or let's say, is it a dollar or answer? Okay, let me say this is an answer. Let me check. See, this is an answer. It must be a dollar. Sorry, it must be a $sign. Sorry for the mistake. Let me check the $sign. Sorry. Okay, this is $sign. Thank you very much. So the $sign, this is the $sign. It must end your variable. So when I run this now, let's see what will happen. It's giving me an error again. It said print name, but this is not what I declared. I declared name $. So I must print the same thing. That's one thing about variable. The variable you declare is what you must use. The same name. I will show you on rules that guide variables later. So let's run this. Wow, beautiful. So you can see that this it's run successfully. It means in variables we have what they call numeric variables and we have string variables. Numeric variables is used to hold number, while string variables is used to hold letter or character or words, and that word must be in a quotation. And if you are declaring a string variables, you must always put a $. After the variable. Is a must, unless your code will know, which we did earlier, and you see how it works. So let me go back to the test. Now, rules of basic variables. Let's look at the rules. Rules are many. So it said in basic, combining alphabet numbers and decimal points may form a variable. So it's in basic. So what they are saying here in basic is that I can use this, I can do something like this. I can say name 1, I can add number to it. It's 1. I just come here and just type 1. It's surely 1. It's 1. You can see it's run successfully. So you can add number, you can add underscore. Sorry, you can put here name, you can put underscore here. Sorry, you can use underscore. So if I'm having like two more names like son name, I can use underscore to separate them. But make sure that when you are declaring a variables, make sure it's a meaningful name and name that are readable, because sometimes your code, you may have like thousands of code. So if you don't use a meaningful name, it will be very hard for your fellow programmer to debug, at least to correct the error in your code. So always use a meaningful name. If I want to use, like if I change this one to like N, let's say N, put $ here, N, and I print what? Here I print N. I print N. So you can see that it will run. It will surely run. But does it mean this is a meaningful name? and it's not a meaningful name. But if I say name, it means what? Is a what? Is a meaningful something that people can easily what? People can easily read. So let's go back to the what? To the test. We also say no reserved words can be used as a variable name. Reserved words are, I told you that reserved words or keywords in BASIC, they are those words that have a special meaning to BASIC. I will show you those reserved words as you're moving down this particular document. So as example of reserved words is this print statement. This print always display your answer. So I can't use it as a variable name. So let me change this into, let me say I use print. That's what will happen. You can see there's an error because this print, it is not, is a keyword in BASIC. So I can't use it. So but I can use print one. Let me use print one. Let me add one to it. So I'm going to change this one to print one. Print one. So it will run successfully. You can see because print one is not a reserved word. It's not words that are separate. They have special meaning. So that is that under variable name. Then special characters cannot be used for naming a variable. Yes. For example, you cannot use heart in between it. Like, for example, let's look at this. Let's assume now this name now add hearts to it. Let's see heart sign. Let's see what will happen. It's gonna be, you can see it hasn't even changed. It's telling us something is wrong. So let's go. You can see it's giving me an error. This art is a special character. You cannot use it in what? In variables. As you code, as you continue solving problems, you will encounter all these problems and you will know what to do. So don't never panic. Continue what? Continue trying. You will get there. You become a what? A good what? A good programmer. Next one we have what? String variables correspond to string data, whereas a numeric variable corresponds to numeric data. I said this earlier that in this one now, this is a string variables correspond to what? To string value, string data. Then a numeric variables correspond to numeric data. So this one can also become decimal points, no problem. It can be what? It can be decimal point. So there's nothing wrong in that. It can be 2.1, no problem. Is a what? Because the numeric constant is 3.1, which is still one successfully. Then the next one we have what? In a program, each variable is referred throughout the program by its name. I said that earlier, that in this place now, I cannot use print one here, now use print two here. It will give me an error because the variable I declared here have name and print one. So where did I get print two from? That is what BASIC will be telling me. So that's why it does not want, it's giving me a 0. But in some cases, it may give you error. It may start pointing that that particular place is what is wrong. Now, we not just move on. So we have a variable declaration cannot start with a number. It means I cannot use a number to start my variable name. For example, in this print one, I cannot write one print. I cannot write one print, or something. One print. This I can't do this. It's always giving me what? Always giving me what? An error. So let me change this to age. A meaningful name. So that is that under that one. Then we have basic keywords. I said earlier we have keywords in BASIC. There are lots. So we have print, we have end, we have for next, if then, step, also data. All these things are what you are going to use in our second part of our programming language. We look at what all this particular program does. This particular statement, keywords, what is their function? But before that, let's move on down the line. I'm going to explain each of them one after the other. The first one said let. The let statement is used to assign a numeric or string variable or string to a variable. What are they saying here? Like in this now, in some basic program, in some compiler, in some version of BASIC, you can't use age is equal to 21. You have to accompany this with let statement, like let my age, let age. This is the keywords. I can use this one. Let what? Let, that is let name is equal to that. Let your name be this. Let your age be this. Just like the normal words. But in Liberty doesn't care. It doesn't care. It will show. Okay, this one is something is wrong. Yeah. Okay, this one should be age. What we did here is age should be there, not print one. I told you. So we have age. So I can run this. It will run successfully. So in some cases, if you are using QBasic and you try name is equals to Sabi or age is equals to 2.1 and it does not give you your answer, apply let. So it is to assign variables to what? To data. Now you have input statements. Now these input statements allows the user to type in information. Take for example your ATM. When you go to ATM and you slot in your ATM card, you can't just start bringing out money. It's not possible. The ATM will ask you enter your PIN. That is, it's requesting data from the user. The same thing applies to what? So basic. So how do we use input? Let me show you something. Let's assume now this thing now, this name, I want it to be like something that the user will be able to type his own name. Like someone may type Kojo, or may type Eniola, or may type Chinedu. So it will display the name you type by yourself. Do you get a logic there? So it's different from saying name is equal to Chinedu, but this one you are the one typing the name you want. So how do we do this? I'm going to use it here. So I'm going to use here. So I will use input. Input. You just type input. Your keywords can be in small letter, no problem. But I'm going to use capital letter because in QBasic, the keywords are always in capital letter. So I'm going to, the reason why I'm writing this code, so that you'll be able to use, if you have QBasic on your computer, you can use it in QBasic. But if you have Liberty Basic, no problem. We move on. So input. So you put it in quotes because you are entering something. I can say enter your, it can be small letter. The one in quotes can be small letter. It can be sentence case. Let me make it sentence. Enter your name. I'll end the quote. Now there's something I have to put after this. Anytime you use input, you have to use a semicolon. They are special character. And what variables will hold that name? I can say, I'll just type, because this thing now, just enter your name. You cannot enter one as your name. Name is a string variables. So you have to use a string variable at the end of this thing. So I'm going to use a string variable. So I'm going to use dollar name. Sorry, that has to be name dollar. Sorry, name dollar. This thing. So it means anything I enter in this space, if you ask me what is on name, if I enter Chinedu, this Chinedu is going to be stored in this variable called name. So let's look at this together. So let me run this. You can see it said enter your name, but I want something. I don't want it's too like this is. I don't like the way it is. So let me just give it a that there will be space. I can do like this. I want a space there. So you can say enter your name. If I type Chinedu, you can see. You see Chinedu now. The computer, that's the essence of, that's the importance of input. It asks me for the what? For the name, and I entered it. So if I want this again, I can type any name. Let me type Priscilla. You press enter. You can see Priscilla is printed on the computer. So that is how it works there. So we're going to look at a lot of things there. So I can even welcome Priscilla. Okay, Priscilla, welcome. I can use something like this. Okay, no, we're still going there. So let's just take it easy. So let's go to the Microsoft Word. So that is for input. Then we have read data. Now this read data is talking about, in some cases you may want to like in Python, you can declare 3 different variables on the same line. But you can't apply this you can declare variables and assign their values on the same line. But you can't do this in basic programming. So this now brings us to the keywords read and data. How do you use this? Let me show you something. Let's assume now I want to add my age and my brother's age together. So I will come here, I will declare 2 variables. Let me erase this. Sorry for the inconvenience. Let's say 10. I'm going to use read. Okay, read. Sorry. Read. I'll say first. Second. Is that what is there in the something? So there must be a comma there, because I'm reading 2 things. So read first and second. So I'll come here, put second. So this one second, the first. This is first variable, second variable. I just declaring variable here. So what are the things you want to put in this variable, first and second? I'll now come here. I'm going to type 20. data, that is what I want to put in these variables are, the first one should be 3, the second one should be 6. It means first is a variable, it will not take 3 as the value, second will take 6 as the value. So I can print this, I type in date. That's the problem, it's data, come on. I was giving an error, data. So let me print this on the screen. So I can just type 30, print, I'm going to print the word, the variables, not the word. So I can print first. So I'll remove this slant. So let me run this for you. Let me see. Enter your first name. Oh, this one is the earlier one we did. So let me cancel this, the first line, that 5. Let me remove it from the statements because I think we don't need it again. So let me run this. You can say 3. So first, if I type print first plus 1, let me check plus 1 if it works. I hope it works. Sorry, 4. 3 plus 1 is 4. So I can print the both of them. Print. I'll show you something. Print first. Second, let's see if this works. Okay, 3 and 6. You can see now. It means I can print 2 statements on a line at the same time. With what? With the help of what? Comma. When you put comma here, 3 will be printed and 6 will be printed, formatted very clearly. So that is under read and what and data statement. The next one is remark. I used this remark earlier. So remark is just like comment or like yeah. I'll just come here to tell you about what your program is doing. So rem, you have to put it in quote. Program to read to data set. You hand it. So it's just telling you about your program, what your program entails. This program will be ignored. This particular thing will be ignored by the compiler. It will not display on your output screen. That is what rem is talking about. Then let's move on. So we have print. You know, I've been using print since morning. Print to display your work. Then we have end and stop. Yeah, when you use if statements or conditional statements, there are some times whereby you have to stop, end this thing. I'm not doing anything again. End. So it's advisable for you that I can you can say you can end your program. I always tell my students to always end their program because in QBasic you have to end though. When you are done, you have to put end at the end of your program. So we put end like this. Your program is string 1. Nothing happens to your program. I'm just saying it for Liberty Basic. It doesn't need end. For QBasic, you have to what? You have to use what? You have to use end at the end of your statement. And next one we have what? For next. We have for next statement. So when we say for next statement, what do we mean? For is what they call looping. It's what they call what? Looping. So what do you know about how do we explain looping? Looping is just like for example now, they use it in daily programming language. Take for example your meme WhatsApp. So when you have your meme WhatsApp, there are sometimes whereby somebody will just be laughing, hey, it's continue to open that mouth continuously, doing the same thing over and over again. So it's the concept of looping that is used in that case. Looping means do something repetitively, continue doing it. So far, a lot of times, any times you want that particular things to be repeated, it will continue repeating it for you. So when you are using for statements, you must use next with it. That is one thing about basic programming. Let's assume that I want to print my name 5 times on the basic execution bus. There are 2 ways I can do this. The first way is an old way, but I won't like it to do this. It is silly. Let me say 6, 7, 8, and 9. I want to print 5 times. I will just type like this. Normal method. Print. Print. Okay. This is funny. Print Sabi. Let me just copy and paste everything. Ctrl C. Move to the next line. Ctrl V. Ctrl V. Oh, this is horrible. It will take me. Hey, Holy Ghost fire. Imagine I'm printing like 100. Hey. Maybe you help me to do that. It will print very well explained, but come on, this is old and it's stressful. It's assuming you want to change Sabi to any other thing. What are you going to do? So this is stressful and it's apparent you can't do something like this. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to use for statement. Now, when you're using for statement, this is what you're going to do. I can say like this. I can use like this. So you type for. I can use I. Mostly in program they use I. don't know why they use I. Maybe just like personal preference. You can use I. Okay, for I, that is this I is equals to 1 to 5. That is start from 1, stop at 5. Then what do you want to print? I want to print 6. I want to print Sabi. We are still going to look at all this one in the second part of this tutorial. Then 7, I'm going to nest I. I will explain how this works. Let's run this. You can see Sabi 5 times with just simple line of code. What this is saying that I declare I as a variable. When I declare I as a variable, I said this my I starts from 1 to 5. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, instead of printing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I want to print Sabi. You print Sabi 1, Sabi 2, Sabi 3. So once I print the first one, I will next to the second one. I print the second one, I will next to the third one. I print the third one, I will next to the fourth one. So that is how this is done. So if I want to know what this actually means, I can change this Sabi. I can change it to, let me print the I to know that what you are doing is you are doing the same thing. Let me run this for you. So you can see. You can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now I'm putting I now that has become what I Sabi I Y. So it was Sabi that was there before. So that is under for next statement. Then we now move to, we also have what while we are going to use all this while and all these things. We are going to use it what in their basic expression and operators. So basic expression and operators, they are just expression and operators, just like your normal math or your normal arithmetics or your normal condition, like 5 plus 5, 6 plus 6. Is your age equals to 5? Age is it less than 2? So in basic expression and operators, we also have what they call arithmetic expression, and we have relational expression and logical expression. So let's look at this one after the other. Arithmetic, so it's talking about math. So I've been using it like I can come here, I can type, let me highlight this. I can type 5 plus 5. Let me print this on my screen. Print 5 plus 5. It's just arithmetic. There's nothing new there. It's just for you to manipulate something. Give me 10. I can change this to times. Times is not called, so it is like this in basic program, but in programming language it's 25. I can divide 5 divided by 5. It is 1. So these are basic, just like your normal arithmetic expression. Now you can see them slash plus caret. This caret is what it's talking about raised to power. So I can come here, I can say 2 raised to power. Oh, I've opened lots of execution something. Let me remove it. So I can say 5 raised to power 5 or 5 raised to power 3. Raised to power, I use raised to power 2. That's 5 raised to power 2 is 25. So you should print 25 on my screen. So it's 25. So these are just basic expression, basic arithmetic operation. So there's nothing there, exponentiation. Then we have next thing, we have what we call we have relational operators. So how do you use relational operator? Let's go down. No, arithmetic operation, there is no superscript in basic, we find in algebra. Okay, no problem. So relational operator expression is used for comparison of 2 or more data items. Yes, you can compare. Which, like for example, now if I said I can use something like this, like less than, I can say print 5 less than 2. 5 less than 2. Let me see. 0 is what it is. It means it is what it is false. Let me say 2 less than 5. 2 less than 5. Assume, okay, no problem. 2 less than 5. Yes, 2 is less than 5. Should give me 1. So in other programming language, let me tell you something. In other programming language, this will display true or false. And if you could remember, in logic circuit or logic gate, we have 1 is true, 0 is false. That is why when I type 5 less than 2, it gave me 5, 5 less than 2, is 5 less than 2, it's false. It's false. So instead of the basic displaying false, it will display 0. That means it is wrong, it is false. But if I type 2 less than 1, 2 is less than 5, yes, that is yes, true. So it's giving 1 as my answer. That is true. So that is that under that. Can you even use what? 2 is equals to 5. I can use equals to here. It's relational operator. Though in some programming language you have to use double is equals to, like Python, or in JavaScript you have to use triple is equals to for. So when you say is equals to 0, so 2 is not equals to 5. When I type 2, is 2 is equals to 2, you should get 1. That is true. It's 1. So that is relational operator. I can even use less than or equals to. Is 2 less than or equals to 5? Let's check. This should give us true 1. Yes, because 2 is less than 5, but it's not equals to 5. But so far one of the condition is correct, so it's going to give me what? 1, which is what? Which is true. That is how relational operator. I can even use greater than or equals to. So when I change this one to greater than or equals to, is 2 greater than or equals to 5? No. It's false. That is 0. So that is how that works. So let's move on. So we have, these are the not equals to. I can use double. Let's use double in not equals to. Let's try this one out. Double not equals to. Let's use less than. So it does not have, person does not have. The way you use it in Python, yes, 1. 2 is not equals to 5. Right. 2 is not equals to 5. It's true. Yes. But if you type this one 2 here, 2 is equals to 2. So this should give you false, 0. Do you get that now? So that is relational operator in basic programming language and how to use it. We are still going to use it with if statement to form a full program that will work very well in our next tutorial. Now we have logic expression. In computer science, we use this logic expression a lot, especially when you are developing a mobile app. When you are asking user for permission, is this particular person, is he a staff of this particular company? What are the information I want him to access? Take for instance now, if you open a Facebook, if you close a Facebook account, you have to be either a friend of somebody, or you have to register on Facebook before you can chat the person up. If you don't register on Facebook and you don't have the person as a, there's no how you're going to be a friend of somebody on Facebook without registering. Registering is that one is sure. But there are some things whereby, let's say, assume now, somebody created a group. If the person does not add in that group, you cannot make comments. So these are what they use logical expression. And logical expression, let me show you something. In hand, both expression must be true. It means, is 5 equals to 5? Yes. And 2 is equals to 2? Yes, true. Let me show you something. Let's look at it together in the Python sum, so that I will not be just being explaining to you. Let me type something. Let's say age equals to, let's say age equals to, this is line statement. Age equals to 5. Then let's say address. I'm just using this to show you this thing. Address equals to 6. Now, let me something. 15. I can now say age equals to 5 and address equals to 6. I can print this. Let me print this. So this should give me true, which is 1. Print. So let's run this. You can see 0. Give me 0. Why did it give me 0? Age equals to 5 and address equals to 6. Age is equals to 5 and address equals to, this should be true. What is wrong? Let me put this in brackets. Something is wrong somewhere. Okay, something is wrong somewhere. Now let me show you what this thing means. Okay, let me just use something like this. What am I going to use? I want to use this AND operator. It's just like both of them must be true. Like 2 and 2 and 3 and 3. Like, is this same thing? Is it the same thing? Like, I can say that, okay, let me use something like this. Let me declare that variables. Let's say this one is 11, this is 12. Let me just use bro is equals to, let me just use 6. Then let me use this one, hard. I'm still going to use this as time goes on, 7. Now I want to check. I can say is age equals to brother and address. We are using small letter. Address equals to hard. So this one should be age. Let's check this. What this will give us? It give us 0. Why does it give us 0? This age is 5 here. Bro is 6. They are not the same thing. Because it means one of these conditions here is false. So that is why it gave us 0. But assuming both of them are true now, let me change this age to bro age. Let me change the age to 6 and address to 7. So both of them, all of them will be the same thing. So when I want this, I should get 1 as an answer. Yeah, you see, this is 1. When you look at this now, you can see that when you get 1 as an answer here, let me explain how this works. It means in here now, age is the same thing with bro. Age is 6, bro is 6. And address is the same thing with what? With add. They have the same number. If I change, that's what I add. Both of them must be true. This one is true. This expression is true. This expression is true. So they will give it true. But if one of them is false, let's assume now I change this add now. I change it to 8. Let me change it to 8. This expression is no longer true because address and add, they are not the same thing. When I run this, I will get 0. So you can see 0 is false. That is how hand work. But in all means, so far one of the condition is true. When use all now, let me use all. So far one of the condition is true, is to give me true. So when I run this, I'll get 1 because one of the condition is true. This condition is true. Age is equals to bro. Address and they are not the same thing, but one of this is true. So it gave me what? Or. As what? Or it gave me what? It gave me 1 because one of the condition is true. But what of if both conditions are false? If both conditions are false, let me change this to 5. I will get 0, which is false. So if both of them are false, I will get 0. If both of them are true, I will get true. Do you get that? That's how hand or not will give you not will give you the inverse. It will give you the inverse of your expression. Let me use, if this can work here, I can just type this now. Let me put everything in brackets. Not. This not is not working here. Print. So and I use not here. Let's check. I don't know why it's not. I think it's more of the compiler something. There's another something you're going to use for that not. I'm going to check that in our next tutorial for that not. This not is not working. It's not showing as a basic keywords. Now let's now look at the evaluation or arithmetic expression. Now this is not something that is new to you. You use it in your primary school. PEDMAS. Parenthesis, explanation, division, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. It means when you are giving an arithmetic operation that has brackets in it, explanation with power, has division, has multiplication, has addition, and subtraction. These are the rules you have to follow. You have to do the one in parenthesis for the brackets first, then the exponents will be the next with power, then division will be the next, multiplication and addition and subtraction. This is how it follows. So that is what you have to know, because in some cases when you evaluate something, let's take for instance now, I'll give you something like this. Let me erase this. Control A. Let me delete it. Let's have a print. Let's say we have 2 plus 5 times times 6 times 6 divided by 2 raised to power 3. Now look at this expression. This is what's going to happen. The way this thing is going to do is that it's going to do this one first, because this one is in parentheses. This one is higher order precedence. The higher one is 2 plus 5, which should give me 7. So now we have 7 times 6 divided by 2 raised to power 3. Now the next one is going to do now is 2 raised to power of 3, because this is the next one in order of precedence. 2 raised to power 3 is what? 2 times 2 times 2. 2 in 3 places, that is 8. So what we are going to have now, we have 7 times 6 divided by 8. Now it will not say 7 times 6 for 2 divided by 8. No, what will happen now is that you divide 6 divided by 8. When you divide 6 divided by 8, your answer will now multiply by 7. So let me print this. So when we print this answer now, so let me just use my calculator. Sorry for the delay. I see a calculator here. Sorry for if you can press the calculator, you should get what I want. I don't want to when you use calculator, you will get that answer. When you get calculator, let me print this. So when you get calculator, so should I print this? Let me print this. So we are the same thing. So let me print this. Show you what I mean. So let me print this, and let me cancel this out. Let me run this. You get the same answer. You can see 5.25. So when you divide 6 divided by 8, the answer you get multiplied by 7. Why this one also is the same way I did it. That's step by step. That's how you do it. So parentheses first, exponentiation next, division next, then multiplication next. That is how you do an evaluation on arithmetic operation in BASIC or any programming language. It doesn't only affect BASIC, any programming language. This is how it has to work. It has to follow one another. The addition and subtraction, any one of them can come first, no problem about that one. So I gave you, there's an example here, evaluate something like this, no problem. We've done something like that. There's no need for expansion on this. Step 1, step 2, we have all these things are just expansion. I'm going to send this, I'm going to put a link on the description where you can download this particular document, so you can code along with what I've explained so far. You can start thinking of how you can solve a problem with basic programming. You can get a program to calculate the area of a rectangle, area of a circle, area of a triangle using Hero's formula. You can even use an if condition to check if this thing is true. Is it true or not? If it's not true, do this. If this is true, do this. So you can do something like that. You have built-in function in basic programming. Basic function means those are the functions that are built in with basic. So they are there with basic. You can apply them in solving your problem. So for example, we have sine. Like for example, now if I want to print sine 60 now, I can come here. The sine is just like a keyword, a built-in function. It's a function written by somebody for you to use. So sine, I can print sine 60. It will give me what? It will give me my answer here. So print sine 60. When I want this, I will get what? I will get my answer. This is minus 0 point something. I can check the maximum between two numbers. I can come here, max is the keywords also. Max, I will just come here 60 and 30. Which one is bigger? 60 is bigger. It will give me what? It will give me 30. It will give me 60, sorry. 60 is bigger. So if I want to check the minimum of two values or a lot of values, I can come here and type min, mean. Min means mean. So in. So this is n. So the minimum is what? Is 30. So to give me 30 as an answer. We also have there are also some function here also. We have tan, exponentiation, logarithm, square root. If I want to look for square root of number, I can use this. So there are a lot of, we are going to use all these functions. By the time we start coding, we move directly to that coding all along. Square root of 16. That should give me 4 as an answer. So when I type this, I will get 4.0 as an answer. So this is it. So this is how you have to this is everything you have to know about about basic programming. We also have some things, some punctuation marks in basic. We have decimal. We have used comma. to separate two print statements so that there will be space in between them. We have used semicolon. We have not used this one. We have not used this one, but we are still going to use this by the time we now go full into programming. In the next chapter of this tutorial, part 2 of this tutorial, we are going to solve some lot of problems, basic problems that they may give you in your high school or in your class. They will ask us, okay, write a basic program to find this area of a circle, write a basic program to find the angle in a sector, write a basic program to find the circumference of a circle, write a basic program to find the perimeter of a segment, perimeter of a chord, write a basic program to count from 1 to 100, write a basic program to do multiplication table, write a basic program to do a lot of things. They will just give a lot of questions, but if you know parties in the procedural program of what you want to do, then your problem is solved. With what I explained now, you can also perform some tasks by yourself. Try something, continue doing something. By the end of the day, you will be glad that you did it, and you are happy with yourself. So bye bye. Meet you in our next class, which should be second part of this tutorial, where we are going to go directly into full coding. Thank you very much. Subscribe to my channel, share. Thank you very much. Bye. So